penalties in a World Cup and a European Championship always elicit the same kind of conversation, whether you watch soccer or not. Are penalties skill or luck? What do you think?
Both. And I know it's a simple answer, but both. There's definitely skill. There's definitely a mental strength component. And there's luck as well. Of course there is. The goalkeeper, generally speaking, is lucky to stop one because he guesses the right way. But
luck.
But if you ask analytic experts, they'll say they study the tendencies of these kickers. They know that, for example, Neymar goes left more than right. And therefore, if he stops one going right, which he studied, is that luck? That's not so luck. I think it's more luck.
Has he read the eyes of a taker? I'll say this. Having stood, I loved penalties when I started playing men's league soccer.
You moved the spot closer to you. You loved them so much.
Yeah, no.
You wanted two-foot penalties.
I did in a charity tournament.
Because you jumped.
But I talked to Craig Forrest about this specific thing, and you remember back to Gold Cup, how huge was he on penalties at Gold Cup? And he did it.
And there was a lot of luck because they wanted a coin flip to get through to the quarterfinal.
Right.
Career.
Yeah,
right.
Screwed.
But in the penalties themselves.
But in the penalties themselves. And his, if you talk to him, it's a mindset of trying to get into the player's head. And to a further extent, I was reading some analytics on a guy who wrote a book called 12 Yards. And he was saying that
Ben Littleton, right?
Yeah, Ben Littleton.
Great
and
guy.
and he said that a normal penalty, Sid, is 78%. Okay? A penalty to keep your team in the World Cup is 44%. So if you want to ask yourself how much psychology, how much luck goes into that, how about 78% for any normal penalty to 44 to keep your team in? I thought that was like
it's a great
example
staggering.
of how much is in it.
I think number one, it's mental strength.
Yeah.
I think number two, it is skill. And I think number three, and it's still significant, is luck. You mentioned Craig there. I remember the Gold Cup in 2000. He'd stand right by one post, right to the last second possible, and then move into the middle. I think it was fantastic.
So whether it be analytics or just guessing, he knows where he's going before that kick is taken.
Is it going high, low?
That's down to the shooter.
Now this weekend we saw some really bad penalties.
What's your point with? Can you tell me what your point is with
My point
this?
is how on earth is this skill when there's this much guesswork involved in it? That's my point. But how is that skill?
Is it the same in hockey?
Well, Navas yesterday, that was skill. Was it not? Because he guessed right, but the ball, it wasn't a great penalty, and he stuck his left paw backwards.
The point. But
that was skill.
Is biathlon skill, Sid?
I've done it for 4 years.
When you sit down after running for cross-country skiing, running for a couple miles, and you have to lower your heartbeat and perform a task that you have performed millions of times before while trying to control the emotions while 70,000 people look on, is that a sport?
But biathlon, you know where your target is and it ain't moving. You got a guy
then
in
that is
net.
your target.
Well, but then there's someone impeding you.
But if you put it,
there's a goalie impeding you.
If you put it in the right spot, can the goalie get to it?
But what define right spot? The way he doesn't guess? Is that the right spot?
No, if
in
you
a
put it
penalty?
low corner, the goalie can't get to it.
But what if he guesses low corner?
He can't get to it.
Under no circumstances can a goaltender get it low corner.
You're okay.
No, but what I'm saying
here's what you've done.
There's way too much actual
Sharman,
science and skill that goes
into it. Can you help me
it.
out here? He's made an argument based on what he believes,
yes,
and he's not going to shy away from it, and it's going to hijack the rest of the conversation.
You know when you're a kid and your parents start arguing, and it's really awkward and uncomfortable. This is how I feel right now.
Is that how you feel?
Oh, we've had way worse than this. Are you kidding me? This is mild. But we've had this conversation.
But if it's luck, who cares though? So what? If it is luck, from the goalkeeper standpoint.
This has no great meaning in my life. I will sleep tonight. But what I can't wrap my head around is, wow, the skill in making sure that goalie didn't guess that way. Really?
What about Neymar's?
What
about Neymar's approach when he stutter steps to make sure the goalie goes before he shoots?
You think he knew which way the goalie was going based on a stutter?
Yeah, he's trying to get the goalie to tip. And Claudio Bravo stood his ground.
I need to read this book, 12 Yards. So I need to read it at some point. But I know Simon Cooper in Soccernomics did a whole chapter on penalties, and he interviewed numerous penalty takers and keepers, and often they know where they're going. But in some cases, they admit I didn't know where I was shooting until I hit that ball.
Would you take Craig Forrest's opinion on all this, and we can settle it that way, and then we can move on?
If we get Forrest, yeah.
Okay. We'll do it. No, we'll do it.
He's been in
before
there
the end of the World Cup.
In an elite FIFA competition.
I like the conversation, but we'll move it to another day when there's less going on.
Am I explaining this properly? Like I am dumbing it. No surprise, I'm dumbing this down to a very, very low denominator here, right?
This might help you though. As you know, I faced Alan Shearer at penalties once upon a time in a feature.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Right. So there I am with the gloves. Alan Shearer, one of the great takers of penalties ever, and he's English, but he's renowned for it. He never missed, and he was telling me where he'd shoot, and I couldn't save it.
Yeah.
So surely that tells you something, doesn't it?
Bubba Sadler, who went on a scholarship to Hartford and played soccer there, used to do that to me. He'd say, "Listen, I'm going low right corner. Try to get to it." And I was a pretty good athlete back in the day,
you're a very good keeper.
and I could not get to it if I did it fairly. I couldn't get to it.
If you did it fairly.
Yeah, nowadays we saw Navas yesterday. Great save that it was, but he was off the line 2 yards when that ball was struck.
That rule is a whole nother discussion.
It's a big issue, I think, in soccer.
Okay, let's move on from that